Hello everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I have a few quick announcements before I get into what I want to talk about today. Those announcements are, I am launching a ton of new products on my shop tomorrow. That is March 3rd, 33, because I love the number 33 and it just felt significant. So that's what I'm doing. I've got some things that are a little outside of what I've been doing, but very much aligned with where I've wanted to go with my clothing line. Sweatpants are coming into the mix. And some other things. I don't know how much I should divulge, but I'm very excited about them. I wanted to start off by saying that dealing with past traumas can be extremely scary, especially if you don't have the tools in your tool belt to deal with them. I feel very privileged in some ways for the way that I grew up. Both my grandmother and my mother are counselors, and I just inherently have that in my DNA to analyze the way that I am and why I am the way that I am, which has helped me a lot in life, honestly. But I realized growing up that not everybody has access to those types of tools, and it can be very scary for people to get unstuck and to get out of the place of victimhood, victim-mindedness that so many of us are in these days. That is why I think it is absolutely essential to do hard things. I am totally for not doing something until you feel aligned with it, until the timing feels right, until you essentially have the go-ahead in your inner knowing, your intuition, your whatever you want to call it. At the same time, most of the time, when you get the go-ahead in your inner knowing and in your spirit and in your intuition to go for something, to do something, it doesn't mean that it's going to make it any easier. There's a level of bravery that comes with each new level and each new step that you take. Because if you think about it, with a staircase or a ladder, every time you go up on a higher rung, every time you go up one step higher, you get further away from the ground. And the fear of heights starts to kick in. Whether you have it or not, you're like, wow, I'm really high. If I fall, it's gonna hurt. The same goes for spiritual practices, I think, of releasing old patterns that you didn't initially know were there, and releasing old mindsets that you've created an identity around. Most people don't realize that we are literally all programmed from the moment we come into our mother's womb, from the things that we hear in the womb and the things that we experience in this realm in general, whether you are in the womb or outside of the womb. And then it just gets more intense and more intense as we grow up and get older. But childhood, for sure, is the main programming age. Because you're trying to teach a little kid, you're trying to teach them the way they should go, essentially, your values and whatnot, hopefully. So many people don't realize that if you can program yourself in a negative way with trauma and bad experiences, you can program yourself in a positive way also. I like to think of, I've said it before on videos past, but I like to think of my body as a recording device. And whatever I put into any part of the portals in my body sends a message to my DNA to respond in a good way or a bad way, to hold on to something or to let it go, to live my life in a certain way. I think with the state of the world today, we should all realize that we are continuously being programmed every single day, every single moment. There's a reason why, I've said it before, the external input is the greatest weapon for the dark side. And it's to continue to keep us distracted. Because once you actually sit with yourself for a minute, the things that do not actually serve you will come to the surface. Your body will start to push them to the top. And you'll have to deal with them in one way or another, whether it's shoving them back down even further or dealing with the situation at hand. Every time that we experience trauma, our brain literally fragments. You could say it creates its own timeline, if that gives you a better visual. What most people don't realize is that time pretty much, it doesn't really exist other than the social construct that we've made it. And really, if you can remember something, you can time travel. And you can go back to those times and those memories, that trapped energy, which is trauma, and you can change it. You can change that energy. Most people think this is an absolutely lofty idea and something that you need someone to guide you through. And I am totally for people initially getting help, but it's when you start depending on the help and depending on that person or those type of teachings that it becomes detrimental. Because like I've said before, everything that you need is inside of you already. Everything positive that you need is inside of you already. Just as well as everything negative that you need to deal with is inside of you already. More and more, I have realized over the past few months how much the idea of the world that you experience is a exact mirror to you. Everyone that you come in contact with, everyone that you live your life around, every circumstance that is happening to you, it all is an exact mirror. So I was talking to my sister yesterday, and she was saying that literally shit has hit the fan in the sense of her world, everything just seems to be going wrong. She was feeling like there was something that God was basically trying to put in front of her to get in this time. And she felt like it had to do with money. And I totally related 100%. And it's kind of funny because what's come up for her is her issues surrounding money. And she's starting to realize what her inner child believes about money and all of the connecting traumas to it. And it's just funny because in this season, I feel like so many people are going to start coming into a whole lot more wealth and abundance, not just financially, but in a lot of different areas. But of course, money is part of it. And God, universe, whoever you want to call it, however you want to call it, has been essentially setting up circumstances to happen to her to where that response of that inner child comes to the front when it relates to money and the trauma that she has behind it. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever. Most people don't think it's cool, but I think it's cool. I think it's cool that literally you are prepared and things will be placed in front of you to prepare you for what's to come. And it all comes from within. And I think that is the coolest thing ever. So, she's starting to deal with some of the the mindsets and the beliefs and the trauma that she has around money, it's probably because she's going to come into this area of abundance, unlike what she's been in. And I'm sure so many people can relate. I mean, I know I can. I'm the exact same way. Like this, I've had the same situations happen to me. And even so, the other day, I dealt with an area. I was feeling really creatively blocked. And for me, being creatively blocked is absolutely detrimental because I am such a creative person. And like I've said before, when your creativity is blocked or when you don't release the creativity inside of you, it causes chaos and all kinds of bad things. So I was feeling that way. And I decided to just lay in my bed at night and think, okay, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like no one is going to care or like the creative things that I put out? Why do I feel like it's pointless to share it with the world? You know, just all those things that all of us have in our head all the time, like, you know, when it comes to anything of putting ourselves out there for the world to see. Why do I have such hesitation towards it? And I just simply asked that question to who, you know, Yahweh, to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, Yeshua, source, whoever you want to call it. And what came up was a memory of the past and me trying to get attention from my parents and not getting it. And essentially just feeling like what I had to say wasn't important. What I did creatively wasn't important or good enough, you know, just from an interaction as a child. And so basically what I did was I just went to that part of me, went to that child in that memory that was me, and told her that she could tell me all of her great ideas and that she could tell me, I'm getting emotional even talking about it. I didn't expect to get emotional about it. I am. Look at the tears. She could tell me all of her great ideas and I would be proud to do something with them and to share them with the world. And when I did that, I cried so hard and I screamed in my pillow so hard because of that frustration and that sadness that came up from, you know, that little girl that didn't get the attention that she felt like she needed, especially when it came to something so vulnerable like her art and the things that she was thinking about and had to say. They basically just told her that she was safe with me and I'd be happy to hear all of the ideas and I'd be happy to share them with the world and do something good with them. So it really makes me emotional. And that gave that fragmented part of me in that moment so much clarity and so much relief. I essentially freed a part of myself that has been trapped for so many years. And ever since then, I have exploded creatively. And I have honestly never felt happier and more alive and more like myself since that experience I had of putting the pieces back to myself again and connecting to that inner child and that part of me that was stuck as probably a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. And it's funny because I've seen it I've seen it affect so many people in my life, and it's almost seemed like it has, since I have unleashed that part in me, it's almost given permission for other people to do the same. And it's funny because I love that quote that goes, I forgot who it's by, but I used to write it on everything. But basically, I forgot even the beginning part of it. But basically, the ending is, and as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And it's just funny because I used to write that on everything as a teenager, and now it's really becoming evident that as I essentially heal those negative energies and past traumas that have kept me in prison for all these years, I have seen the beautiful ramifications, the ripple effect or the butterfly effect of it. And it just goes right back to your world as a mirror. And the people in my life that are meant to be around and almost in a way needed me to not that I have like responsibility over everyone, but I do feel like there is a responsibility of being yourself. And the fact that I took responsibility and allowed myself to be myself by healing that past part of me, it has allowed the other people that needed to essentially step out in that creative way and resonate and change their mind to do the same. Because I can't tell you how many people have come to me asking for help or telling me that they're going to start a business or start something that just is very similar to me. And I love it. I'm not like weird about it. I absolutely love it and think that more people should be trying things and happily failing and figuring it out with me the way that I am. And in relationship, those people are the ones that are sticking around. Like, they really are. They're sticking around and they're absolutely growing with me. I gotta be honest, my toddler just woke up, so I slightly lost my train of thought. So let's see where I go from here. But while I was in there, I was just thinking, so when you deal with trauma and deal with a part of you getting stuck at a certain age, because that's what happens with trauma, a part of you gets literally stuck in that age that the trauma occurred. And essentially, it's like you leave a little piece of you behind because that piece of you hasn't been able to go past that age and hasn't grown with you. And I was thinking about it, how, you know, when essentially our parents don't parent us well, we have to then become our own parents. We have to step in for the lack of parenting that we grew up with. And even with leaving a little piece of you behind, it's like in every moment and every choice is its own timeline. And the parts of you that get stuck and don't progress in their specific timelines causes a destruction in your current timeline. It's just really cool to think about. I was thinking about that while I was trying to get my toddler back to sleep. If you guys want an in-detail video about how to start the process of healing some of those inner child traumas and experiences and whatnot, those fragmented parts of you, I'm not like a licensed person. I can just teach from experience, and if it doesn't work my way, you can try it another way. But if you want that, I would be happy to do a video like that, just because it has been absolutely life-changing in so many ways. And it makes me think of what would have happened if all of the parts of me grew up with me together. What would that look like? Who would I become? And I think maybe that is the higher self that people are talking about. Once all those parts get put back together and grow together, is that the higher self? The higher me that is freaking awesome? I mean, I'm great now, but I can just imagine freaking awesome me in the future. Someone says, I've been to the future and you look much better than you do right now. Anyways, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And make sure to check out my shop tomorrow because there'll be a lot of new things on it. Bye.